All right, welcome, welcome. We're going to go ahead and hit record. I think a few more folks will join us, but Scott was already delivering some awesome wisdom that I'm going to ask him to repeat just a little bit because I think it's some good. I think it's some good stuff. We were talking about. I was mentioning that I had two board meetings that are both on Zoom that ran well into the evening last night, and I was just feeling a bit of Zoom fatigue. And Scott jumped right in. So Scott, I'm going to ask you to share, if you don't mind, those
Sure.
two suggestions again, because I think they're fabulous.
Yeah, there's two things that so they've actually been doing studies on this. There's actually research out there on why we get Zoom fatigue. And one thing is self-view. So in Zoom, there is a setting that you can turn off called turning off self-view, where you don't see yourself on the screen. Otherwise, you're one of the little boxes on the screen. And what they've shown is that when you can see yourself, you have a tendency to be, I'm constantly looking at myself, kind of checking, am I okay? Is my hair out of place? Is anything, untoward with what I'm doing? Where when you can't see yourself in a normal conversation, you don't do that. And so that actually adds cognitive load. And yeah, and now everyone who's watching this later is immediately like, checking himself. But we have that tendency to do that when we can see ourselves. So turning off self view, especially in longer meetings, can be helpful because then you're not kind of looking down at yourself as much. And then the second one is just your physical body placement. When we meet with people in person, even in something like a board meeting or something like that in a room, yes, you're sitting, but you're still moving a lot because 1 minute somebody's talking at that end of the table, then you're leaning forward to get a drink of water, and then you're talking to this person, and so there's more physical motion. Where on Zoom we tend to be, especially if we're sitting, kind of locked in place. I'm looking at the camera. I don't want to move too far. If I move too far, I'm out of
Right,
frame. I'm off the
right.
mic. I'm physically locked, and so just standing up and setting up the camera and the Zoom meeting where you can stand instead of sit is helpful. But just because when I'm standing, I'll do a little bit of rocking back and forth, leaning back, it causes us to move a little bit more and kind of keeps the blood flow and the energy up. So those are two really good. Like, I do all of my Zoom calls standing up. I usually turn off self view. It's actually on right now just because I had it on for something else that I was doing, but I normally turn off self view, and both of those help a lot with Zoom fatigue. And so,
All right, very cool. I love it. And I love the idea because I use a standing desk here at the office. And sometimes I'll take those calls here at the office, but last night I wanted to get a walk in. So I went home, and you're right. I don't have a good standing spot. And so I did end up sitting a lot more than usual. Good stuff. And may seem silly, but these are
oh, it
all
helps a
so,
lot.
yeah, so
A
relevant too.
100% of my business is virtual. I'll have as many as 6 or 8 Zoom calls in a day sometimes, or more. Um, I was discovering that I was like, at the end of the day, I can't people anymore.
Oh
And
yeah,
doing
yeah.
those two things helped a lot. I still get drained because I'm an introvert, but I don't get as drained.
I was just going to ask you that because I suspected I am too. I mean, I can extrovert when I need to, but
Right.
given my choice, definitely lean towards introversion. And I was curious. So
Yeah.
and what that tells me is that's true, that you've really got to think about how you uh have
How
good
you
miles per
people.
gallon, if you will. You've got to have good efficiency of that Zoom juice.
you
So
you gotta you gotta regularly people yourself well if you are. And yeah, technically I'm an ambivert, which is actually what is true of most of us. Most of us are not truly pure introverts or pure extroverts. We're ambiverts, meaning we have some mixture of characteristics of the two. um and I'm technically an ambivert. Most of us are, like 80% of the population is. um but I lean more towards the introvert side of that continuum than towards the extrovert side. So I definitely have to watch my energy carefully, especially on days where I look at tomorrow and it's like, oh, I've got 7 Zoom calls tomorrow. Yep, I better really make sure I'm juiced up and ready to go because I'm going to be drained.
yeah, good points. I was so it's funny, my stories, and I'm super inconsistent on social media. I'm working on that one of these days, but the one thing that I've gotten consistent at is I share my morning routine, and people are like, well, why do you share that? And the wildest answer, and the most truthful answer is, my mom has figured out that I'm a much healthier human if I'm working out and eating well, particularly in the morning. So it is my secret way of telling my mom that I am working out and I am eating well in the morning, so that then I don't have to get the text of like, are you doing okay this morning? Because I've had a high stress life for, I don't know, going on a long time now, definitely since the hurricane. And so, our families sometimes worry about us from time to time. And it's interesting that you're talking about when you look at the schedule ahead, and there's a part of me that thinks, oh man, I just want to sleep in just a little bit, or I just want to sit here and read a book or whatever. And it's like, no, I better get up and get that workout in if I'm going to have any chance of making it through, to your point, the gauntlet of or what can feel in that moment as like a gauntlet of meeting and conversations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's all of the self-care things that we have to do. Um, especially and everyone that's on this call as a coach. As a coach, anytime we're having interactions like that, I think that adds to it, because we're, it's cognitively and emotionally, coaching is multi-dimensional, multifaceted, and pretty high load.
Yeah.
Meaning, because
Yeah.
if something's going wrong with your client, you've got the emotional thing, and even if there isn't something going wrong, you still got that cognitive load of, how do I balance,
Yeah.
where do I engage, where do I not engage, what's a good question to ask, what am I, trying, how are we digging into the, you've got a lot going on. And so I think it's, even in a way, coaching calls, I think, are almost harder than even just a sitting in a board meeting
Yes.
call.
Oh, such a great point. And I think a lot of coaches underestimate that when they start coaching. Like you said, that the pull on the battery is even harder than, a normal, quote unquote, normal conversation. Great.
I have a few clients that, when they're going through particularly traumatic periods, and I know that, and Roxanne, you get this as a money coach too. They're dealing with bankruptcy, judgment calls, whatever, that kind of stuff. I will literally block time off my calendar after their calls for recovery time. Go take a walk, go outside, go, go exercise for a few minutes, go do something that gets some of that, recharges the battery some, because I just know I'm going to be drained after that call. So I might as well acknowledge that, block off that I need to recharge, because otherwise I just try to push through it, and that's not good for me, and it's not good for the client that comes on that call, that next call.
Great stuff. I like this. Well, I typically come into these with a little bit of table topics. And I want Lidia to share a story about LinkedIn and writing on LinkedIn, kind of an algorithm that she's figured out. But I want to take questions first. You were talking about, Lidia, you shared this story with me maybe 10 days ago, and I wrote it down on the calendar for today, about how you were contributing. I don't know, can't remember all the details, but you were contributing in a certain way on LinkedIn, and I wanted you to tell.
Gotcha.
I want you to tell that story, but I didn't prep her. Sorry. But I wrote it down on my notes for today. I am pretty decent at taking notes. But let's take any questions that we've got. Dienabou, welcome. If you're able to join us, happy to have you here. Any questions, or I'd love to have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, sure. I'm Dienabou from Montreal, Canada. I've been coaching since 2021. I am a transformational coach. I help my client go from a point A to B through just their thinking process, clarifying, and making sure that it is aligned with their values. Yeah, basically that's who I am.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Are
Thank
you
you.
still based in Canada?
Yes.
Okay. Nice. There's a big coaching contingent in Canada. We've got lots of folks. And I'm glad I got fairly close on your name. I will get it right next time.
No worries. All good.
All right. Well, any thoughts or questions or anything that
I only joined the platform maybe a month ago, so I am not really sure exactly how it works and like what am I supposed to do with it. I only logged in once and I haven't been really doing much with it. So maybe I am not sure if you would clarify more about it and
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, first, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to this. This is absolutely what we're here for, and we invite other new coaches to do the same. It's so good to put put faces with names and get plugged in. Lidia, you started to say something. And I may have.
Yeah, I just said that I hope you got the onboarding email, and there was a link to book a call with me. I think that's the best, honestly. If you didn't, I can make sure you got it, but you can book a 30 minutes call, because then I can walk you through the platform, answer the specific questions. I think this is the best way to answer all your questions and walk you through and show you things around. So if you can find that, book a call. If you can, just drop me an email and I'll drop you a link to book that call. I think that's the best way.
Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah, that
I'll
way
do that. Yeah.
That way she can give you the concierge experience and figure out exactly which of the training programs or the mastermind groups or where to get plugged in to best meet your needs. We've always got for better or worse, we've always got a few different training programs going on and a couple different mastermind groups that we can get you plugged into. So a lot more infrastructure than maybe we once did, which is exciting, but tough sometimes too. So, all right. Well, welcome again. Thank you for being here and asking the question and getting connected. I think that's an absolute great first step.
Thank you.
All right, Lidia, I'm thinking the HCC on demand since we don't have another cohort for a little bit, that might be this. I'm so glad you encouraged us to do it, because as I'm thinking what would be best, that's coming to mind right away.
Absolutely.
Well, tell us a little bit about the challenge that we're debuting this week, getting our first turn at the wheel and
then the LinkedIn.
Yeah,
and then
the LinkedIn and kind of what
Okay.
even though this is our first challenge, what we're thinking, we might do going forward, so folks can even plan for it as we go forward.
No, sure, absolutely. So we're doing the challenge this week, and this is a trial run. This is first time. So this is Beat Procrastination and Get Unstuck 5-day challenge. It's for clients, and we introduce it as a way to bring more clients to the platform, so that after the challenge they buy productivity habit coaching. And our bigger idea is, well, first to repeat the challenge again and again until we kind of figure out the mechanics, until we understand how everything works, and then to replicate it to other areas of coaching, to health coaching, to diet coaching, creativity coaching, and so on and so forth. So in the major categories of habit coaching, I think if we can do that, that would be, one of the ways, creative ways to bring clients to the platform and to get them prepared, because that's what we got. We got people maybe joining habit coaching, but kind of don't know much about it, and dropping off very quickly, not being ready, not understanding the mechanics. Now we still need to figure out how to do that the most effective ways, but I'm sure we can do this. So it's going right now. We're at day 3.
Tell them what all it includes, because I think this is cool in that, some people run a challenge and it's just a series of automated emails and it's kind of on autopilot, that sort of a thing. I think the way you're doing it, if we think about, and this audience here is coaches, right? So the audience here is coaches, and our goal as a platform is to bring coaches new clients, and ideally, if we can, clients that are ready to be clients, right? That are in the mode of wanting to embrace and take full advantage of coaching, because that's going to be the most fun as a coach. And so talk about the elements of the challenge, which I think is really cool.
Okay, so I guess three elements. So we give a little bit of knowledge, but this is like the smallest element. We talk about procrastination and give some tools through the daily 5 to 7 minutes video. So that's one element, but this is like the smallest element. Then, because they join the part of the group and the group is on the platform, they learn. So they within the group, they learn the platform and they learn the check-in, because the daily check-in is big element of the challenge. So they do the work, they do what they usually procrastinate on, and then they come in, they check in, they leave a note, they get prop from coaches, they get some, kudos, some celebrations. So they learn the platform, they learn the check-in, they learn the power of accountability. So that's kind of the front and the back end of that. And then the third element is the daily co-working sessions. So we have every day 30 minutes co-working session where they can join. Around them, they can join, and we have 5 minutes welcome, 20 minutes of focused work, and then 5 to 10 minutes where they share, okay, I've done it, and then kind of the celebration part. And then there is a final part on Friday. We do the big celebration, we give out some prizes, and then we teach them how to do the weekly review and reflection, because again, this is the big element of any habit formation, right? The weekly review, the learning, and the celebration, kind of adding the fun and adding the prizes and introducing the coaches. So celebration is there to do this part for the client, but also introducing, hey, these are the participating coaches. This time we have 6, and they have a little bit different focus in terms of the client or in terms of the area that they focus on. So we introduce the coaches, and this is it. Yeah,
I love it. Okay. And then I know we're not 100% committed, but I think we're leaning towards first Monday of the month going forward. Are we?
Yes.
We're kind of thinking of that. So, as coaches, put on your thinking hats of how you might use this to nurture, your connections. If you meet somebody that's interested in coaching, but maybe not ready to buy, inviting them to participate in the challenge, gives them a great way to kind of, as Lidia described, get plugged into the platform, get plugged into coaching, get plugged into the growth mindset, frankly. And then you can check in with them, every day or every few days, or certainly at the end of the challenge, and say, hey, how'd you like it? Are you ready to start coaching? And let me help you keep that momentum. So you can piggyback on, even if you're not coaching necessarily productivity, you could piggyback on the momentum that someone's going to have if they participate in that, and use us as a nurturing mechanism for your own contacts. Send it out to your email list, encourage folks to participate, and then check in with them, and they'll be ready to pick up and roll with you, is how we're envisioning coaches could use these. And as Lidia said, we want to get this one really up and going well, and then move into other areas, whether it's health or mindset or those kind of things. But we're starting with beating procrastination, because that seemed to be the one of the most active, that is the most active goal on our platform. So seemed like a logical place to start.
Yeah, I think challenges as a marketing tool is great for the habit coaching, because, in some areas, challenges are not that good. But for us, for habit coaches, I think this is one of the best way, because you not just get people to read something like the other The other way would be what? The other marketing strategies are webinar or lead magnet or email series, or video series. That's all good, but it doesn't include action. And when you talk about habits and people getting the experience, what it feels like actually to start getting momentum, to start getting those successes, I think challenges in terms of the marketing strategies are best for the habit coaching that we all hear about. So I think it's figuring out for us as a Coachdotme team, figuring out these mechanics, just not wordsmithing, kind of working out the best way, tweaking things, and then just having them on a regular basis, because then it gives people, so I know I can get in. Maybe this week is not the best because I have something else already planned or going on, but I know I can jump in next month. And having that predictability, we think is gonna what get the volume up in terms of participants and benefit our coaches. So that's our thinking.
Love it. Well, we're already thinking about, a strategic summer. It's kind of my theme for the summer. So at least for the summer months, here in the Northern Hemisphere, I guess, at least in the summer, the next.
Then we need to get into weight loss.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But we're thinking at least the next 3 months, running it first Monday of the month, repeating this challenge, and really encouraging coaches. Scott, I know you've participated. Roxanne has participated kind of in 2 angles, both as a new member of our team and also as a coach. I don't want to put either, I guess I do want to put both of you on the spot and share, any insights or any advice you'd have for other coaches in, how to take advantage of this and use it to build their businesses.
I have been wanting to kind of mention and maybe include in one of our weekly emails that since I'm doing social media for Coachdotme now, like the more engagement that we get from coaches, the more helpful it is for me for like promoting the app, because like Kendra said, it's really helpful for both of us, right? It's helpful for Coachdotme and for the individual coach, the more signups we get. And so it's really helpful. Like I wrote down your guys' names to make sure that like when we're doing like testimonials and coach recommendations to our whole audience, that like I know what coaches are active on the app. And so people that are joining here, coaches that join in those monthly challenges that like Lydia's running now, like that I'm trying to collect everybody and try and, get it to be really a community of coaches that are working together and making sure it's mutually beneficial for everybody.
And the LinkedIn group, just to shout it out, we've got our coaches community on LinkedIn. So if you want to raise your hand and tell Roxanne, hey, I'm active and I want to collaborate, chiming in on the LinkedIn group would be a great place to let her know that, if you want an easy way to connect.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think a lot of times too, coaches have this kind of feeling of, I don't want to promote quote unquote somebody else's challenge, or a challenge that maybe is for something that I'm not, I don't coach on it, so why should I promote it kind of feeling. And so like I would encourage folks to have more of an abundance mindset. And so like I promoted the challenge out. There's no guarantee that at the end of the challenge somebody's signing up with me. That is not the point. But the more people that we bring in, the more active it is, the more engagement it is, the more likely it is that somebody then, 6 months later, they're thinking about some other thing, that they're dealing with. And it's like, let me go to Coachdotme and look and see if there's something there, and so I think a lot of times we're a little reticent. I know Roxanne is actually, I think has, referred people to me, and I've referred people to other coaches. And, it's more that attitude of, no, if I'm not the right coach for them, let me go find them a coach who can help them. And interestingly, sometimes those people end up coming back to you in a different way. So it's,
Absolutely.
I think it builds your expertise in a way too, because when you are confident enough to say, I'm not an expert in everything, here's a whole bunch of other people, go get help. I think in a way that actually adds to your expertise as opposed to diminishes it. The same way that, I have a podcast, but I invite other coaches onto my podcast, and people are always like, why would you invite it's like, why not? It highlights the power of coaching. It helps make my profession more real and more authentic and more, have more power. Why wouldn't I invite other coaches?
And I think it absolutely positions you as you put it, a trusted advisor, where somebody's going to come to you and trust that even if you can't directly help them with their problem, that you're going to be able to point them in the way, so that if they do have a problem that you can help with, you're going to get the first opportunity to assist. You're going to be at the front of the line of folks that they trust to help them, again, either help them directly or provide words of wisdom or a referral or something else. So thank you. Thank you both for being such leaders in that, showing up to things like this, sharing things for other folks. It really does create a community where the whole, what is it? Rising tide lifts all ships. I think we've seen that to be true, and appreciate folks that are invested in that as well. All right. So Lidia, before we forget, share just a tidbit of what you discovered about writing on LinkedIn, because I think this is super cool too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where it started. I think it started from just LinkedIn. For some reason, started sending me invitation. The LinkedIn as a platform itself, like, go ahead and comment on this article. And I'm like, okay, well, why would I do that? And then I did and research a little bit, and what I found out, and I think it's going to be, I'm just going to state this, it's going to be relevant if your folks is someone who is active on LinkedIn. So if you're thinking about people who are like looking for a corporate career, or maybe corporates who struggle with something, like these are your clients. Maybe they want to leave corporate, or maybe they stay in corporate, but they struggle with whatever problem you're helping them. So this is, if this is your crowd, then LinkedIn is still one of the utilized platforms. So if you can jump in and stand out, I think this is one of the best ways you can do it. So they have this feature that is called, I'm going to show you now, collaborative articles. They're here, right? And we'll post a link, but basically you can Google LinkedIn collaborative articles, right? And what is important, then choose the topic that is, this topic is, you can click here and see all topics, right? And you can choose any topic that is relevant to your coaching, right? Now, when you choose this topic, whatever it is, we have money, right? Let's see if we have any money topics here. Just curious, money.
Maybe personal finance.
Okay. Personal finance, personal coaching.
Interesting. So yeah, you probably got to poke around and kind of,
anyway, you need to
planning.
You need to find.
There's a few things.
You need to get smart about, like productivity, right? I'm sure, or time management. I'm sure you have time management here, right? Well, anyway, I find, we go time. Okay, it's weird. I hate when it's this way. It's hard to see. But anyway, here you go. Time management. Okay, there we go. So find the topic. Now, what you see, you have here a number of articles, and these articles are written by AI. Now you have a chance to go in any of those or all of those and contribute to it. So you can contribute as a comment on here, you know, any of the points that is written by AI, right? And if your comments are liked by other people, not necessarily contributors, because it will appear in the notification. So once you comment on these articles, people in your circle, either your followers or your connections, will have it in their notifications that you commented. So they can go and read your comment. And if they find your comment useful, then you get a XPs, experience points. And once you get enough of them, so you get into 5%, you'll get a badge. And I'll share it with Kendra. I just play with it, and I commented on the life coaching articles, just helping life coaches, you know, how would you develop life coaching and being a better life coach? And I got a badge, which is, you know, I don't think it's a way to stand out. If people go and check your profile, they see that you got a badge. That means you are in a top 5% on the LinkedIn in terms of this topic. So if you find your topic, and all you need to do is just find that the articles that, you know, that you can comment on, then you can make a valuable contribution. You say something meaningful, and it doesn't have to be a lot, honestly. It's just a paragraph. So basically what I did, I just did it over a couple of weeks. Honestly, it didn't take me that much, and just pick the topic. So one topic, and then comment, leave those comments. And if you get enough traction, so people liking it, finding it this useful, you get this badge, and you keep this badge for 60 days.
Cool.
Which is not bad. And again, you can continue to keep it if you continue the contributions, and people will find this contribution useful. And now you can get a multiple badges. So for example, if you want to get a couple of them, that's also fine. I also thought, because the life coaching maybe not something, I just tried it. Honestly, it was an experimentation.
Sure. No, I love the experimental value. I think it's fabulous.
Which I love to share with you guys and my clients, because my clients are coaches. So I do these things to share them with them. So I thought, well, I'm going to print screen this, and I'm going to post it on my website saying, hey, I've been, you know, getting this badge from LinkedIn, and I'll get it. I keep it forever. I don't even have to kind of renew it, because maybe life coaching skill is not something I'm interested. Like I'm interested in, I don't know, marketing or coaching or whatever. Anyway, I think the investment worth it, right? I saw this badge in other people's profiles, and I was like, wow, you know, because it's LinkedIn, it's kind of badge of honor by big organization, right. It must mean something. So when we're thinking about, okay, getting certification from this, you know, ICF, ACC, all this kind of important things. So this is very easy to get, or it appeared to be. You just have to pick the topic, be smart about it, and just spend, I don't know, 15 minutes a day or so writing a meaningful comment, and you got it.
Love it. I love the experimental mindset on that. And so this is going to go in our coaches newsletter on Friday, obviously attaching this video, a little bit of a write-up, maybe even a link to that. So everybody here, you get a 2-day head start or 3-day head start. If there's a category you want to own, jump in there and own it, so that the next coaches move on to a different category if they want.
And we need to remember that LinkedIn, again, as I said, it's still underutilized platform for coaches, right? And I think a lot of people on LinkedIn are, people with money.
Ideal clients. Yeah, they're ideal. They've already if you're thinking about, and I just spent a week at a conference, and having an ideal client profile was maybe one of the top 2 or 3 messages I walked away from, and continually updating it, right? For, maybe you had one when you first started your coaching business and now it's 5 years later, do you need to refine that? And I agree with you that I can think of, if I think of many of the most successful coaches that come to mind that aren't doing a podcast, right? I would still put podcast or YouTube, because they can see and hear your voice, and there's just something really special about that. But if you're not ready to commit to that, then I would put LinkedIn as a solid number 2, of where your interactions are likely to be with people that have the capacity and the interest to potentially become a client. So strongly agree that it's a good use of time. Certainly Facebook groups, and we know folks that do that. But the ratio of noise to client conversion is definitely lower, unless it's just a sweet spot of a group. And if you have that, absolutely hang on to it. But if you're starting fresh, that return, we all certainly recommend LinkedIn there. So let's pause and take any thoughts, questions, feedback on that.
Yeah, just a quick question about the challenges. Where can I find about it and how can I interact with it?
Well, I guess the regular Friday coach email that Kendra sends out. This is the good source of all the news, including the challenges. The LinkedIn group, if you're not part of it, let us know. We try to keep it fresh, announcing events and challenges and things there. These are the two biggest ones.
And then our social media channels, especially having Roxanne on board now, focused on that. Although those will be trailing indicators, not leading indicators of what's coming up. But certainly, great question, and thank you for asking, prompting us to be able to answer some of the good questions. Those would be the top ones. Look for the email every Friday. Every once in a while, we deviate from the schedule a little bit. Usually, if we've got a major tech, we're in the middle of a tech project, but that's maybe once every 3 months that happens. But every Friday, coach email, the LinkedIn group, insiders, if you will, for coaches, and then our regular social media would be number 3. Scott, anything to add there?
Well, no, I mean, I think the other thing to do, I would just add to that. Yes, those are all probably the regular ways, but just, again, coming to office hours, where you are today, you get sometimes heads up and other things. There is actually a mastermind group that some of us participate. There are other avenues if you want to spend a little more time and go a little deeper. You won't be left out if all you're doing is checking the email and the LinkedIn group. But I know for me, I was not always, if that email on Friday happens to come in the middle of 72 other things, I maybe didn't read it as carefully as I should have. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have known about that. It's like, well, I did. I just forgot, because I read it too quick. So I know for me, coming to things like office hours, mastermind, and some of the other things helps for me. It helps reinforce it for me, I guess, is a better way of putting it. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to do that, because I don't think you have to. I don't think there isn't an insider group that gets ignored but at the same time, it helps you if you're one of those people that has a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah. And so just to plug that, Thursdays at 8 a.m. Central Time is the Accelerator Mastermind. And that is, I would say it's generally for coaches that have been coaching a little while. We have another cohort as a part of our first year program that is specifically for coaches that it's literally their first year, or they're taking a year and this is the year they're dedicated to really building the infrastructure of their coaching business. And so we have a whole program tailored for that. And we do have, I would say, 2 to 3 slots available in that program. you would have some catching up to do. But if coaches are ready to, you know, you want to spend 5 to 6, 7 hours a week really building your business, and you want the accountability, and you kind of want homework and an assignment and a cohort to work on it with, we offer that too. I would say it's a lot more like a boot camp. But if you really want to transform your coaching business in a short period of time, we're seeing that. We've got a handful of folks. We limited it to no more than 10. And I would say we've got 4 or 5 that are really living it every week. And it's super cool to see. They get a lesson and then a special co-working session where they get on and really work on it too. So either pace, we can support. And Scott, thank you for prompting that up. I think you're exactly right. We try to offer quite a bit, just included with the membership and complimentary, but then other opportunities to plug in and really get the support and engagement. Because coaching, and you mentioned this early on, Stefan may not have been on to hear it, but coaching is hard and cognitively hard. Yeah. And so being a part of a coaching community where you're plugged in and meeting weekly with coaches, I mean, there's just tremendous power in that.
Yeah, I think it's important. Again, it gets back to the other thing I said, which is that abundance mindset. You know, I know when I first started coaching, I picked up the phone, I went and looked for a bunch of coaches. I picked up the phone and I called like 42 coaches. This was before Coachdotme was a thing or anything else. I mean, there were no groups. And I called like 42 coaches before I got one that would even talk to me, you know, about coaching. And it was like, how, you know, why, you know, and now I'm plugged into Coachdotme, you know, Coachdotme and a couple of other communities where no, it's coaches that actually look at it and go, there are more than enough people out there that need help. You know, let's help each other. Let's come together. Let's figure out best practices, figure out ways to, you know, grow business. Oh, what are you doing? What's working for you? What's not working? You know, that kind of thing, so that it's more collaborative than competitive. And what's funny is every community that I'm plugged in that has that attitude, everyone tends to be growing. You know, I think it's the healthier attitude, but it's one that, you know, I've been on Coach, and Kendra will back me up on this. I've been on Coachdotme since before it was Coachdotme. I was one of the early adopters when it was lift.do, when Tony had it back in the day, and worked with him pretty closely in the early phases and when it changed over. So I've been at different levels of involvement over the years. I've gone in and gone out as things have ebbed and flowed in my business, but I've been around the platform long enough to see it change and evolve and grow. And I think it's in a much better place today than it was even 5 years ago. So.
Well, thank you. And thank you for re-engaging. And I want to give a bit of a shameless plug. When does your book come out, Scott?
My book publishes on July the 2nd is when it's officially out.
So we had to get a plug in there. Scott published a book with a major publisher coming out soon. And so if you want to study, man, in how to build a coaching business, I would say, you know, I facilitate the mastermind, but there are many weeks that I learn more from Scott than the agenda that I was sharing. But if you guys want to learn how to build a full coaching business with the books, with the speaking, with the podcast, and with it all tied together, Scott's pulling it off. And watching, having an inside view, Lidia and Roxanne, you know, having an inside view at his book promotion strategy and how he's done this has been pretty cool. I've enjoyed watching that.
And just I'll say this too, that if you reach out to me and want to have a chat about coaching, I am more than happy to schedule some time with you and just have a chat about coaching. I do that. I probably have about 3 to 5 calls a month where it's just some coach somewhere that wants to talk about coaching, and it's like, okay, you know, let's talk about it. So yeah, if anyone out there is like, oh, I just want to pick your brain for a few minutes, I will actually have coffee and pick. You don't get free reign on my calendar. I have a certain amount of time available, but you can book a time in those that are available, and I'll be happy to chat with you. And not as a pitch either. That's not me pitching coaching for you. It's just, I'll be happy to chat with you about your business and help you if I can.
All right. Well, I've got 3 solid notes that I am super excited to share in Friday's email, and we've fixed a couple bugs on the platform that had been sneaky. And we'd fix one and it would trigger another. And anyway, I think we're very close to solving a few of those, which is fun too. But any final questions, thoughts? Stefan, good to see you again. Thanks for being here. Dienabou, always great to
Hello. Thank you.
to have
Nice to see
welcome
you.
new coaches. So thank you for being here too. All right. Well, let's see. Next, takeaways. If you're watching this or you're here now, what to do next. I would say if you haven't joined the weekly challenge, go ahead and go join. It's $5. We put a promo code in the last coach email. Do that, join it, learn the rhythm, so that when we go to do it for the first week of June, you kind of have a sense of how it's there, and you can think about maybe how you can use it to piggyback and promote your own coaching. So you've got a couple weeks to kind of get things lined up for that. If you're not in the coaching group on LinkedIn, get plugged in there. Think about this LinkedIn writing opportunity. I agree with Lidia. There's some low-hanging fruit there, potentially. Things that are new, particularly when you get the benefit of an established platform, that opportunity is not always open forever or as lucrative forever. And watch the recording if on managing our own energy levels as coaches. I think that's important too. So good stuff at the beginning of this session on that. And Scott, you put the link to your book. Yeah, shameless plug. You contribute enough. We're happy to share.
I appreciate that.
Share his book, pick up a copy, tune into his podcast, and kind of look at, again, a plug for the mastermind, because especially right now, it's super cool to have an inside perspective. We have another coach launching a YouTube series. Roxanne is launching a personal finance challenge. We have lots of really active coaches doing cool stuff, and the perspective is really neat to see.
Yeah, I'm watching Roxanne's challenge really closely because I've never run a challenge, and I'm kind of like, okay, let between Lydia doing the one and Roxanne doing the other one, I'm kind of looking at it going, yeah, I probably need to go ahead and do one.
Yeah. To Dienabou's question about the challenge, I will say Lydia put together a great challenge. And I love challenges personally. Like, it's so nice to have that end date to start a new habit or refresh an old habit or get rid of a bad old, one that you want to get rid of. So I really think that the challenge that she did is really great, and I just love them in general. So anyway, just wanted to share that. It's really good. The tips in there are excellent. The videos, there's a really great lead magnet for the challenge. So yeah, I really recommend that. And I can actually send it to you if you like, if you need the link for it.
I think I found it on the email. Yes, thank you. I've
Okay.
just clicked on
Yeah.
it, and I joined the LinkedIn, so hopefully I'll
Okay, good.
see most of you
Yay.
guys.
Love it. Yeah, get plugged in. There's lots going on. So very cool. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this awesome Wednesday. And I think I had a few goals for today, and we've already exceeded them. So I am thrilled with the combination of folks that have been here a long time, and folks asking really great questions. So Dienabou, thank you for just opening it right up. I think your questions were fabulous. And Stefan, always good to see you.
Also.
All right. Well, see y'all again soon, and look for the email on Friday. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.